Welcome back to the latest episode of the Portsmouth series, and it is Derby Day. Yes, welcome back to the Portsmouth series, and today we're going to have a look at how we got on since the Manchester City defeat, how we are in the league, and also, as you can see, ums and ahs about how we're doing in the league, but as you can see, we're in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. And I thought this would be a great place to start. I thought we could just take a look and see who we end up getting in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals. I am just going to skip to my team because there's no need to watch all of this, really, is there? So, who have we got left? So, realistically, it's Wolves, isn't it? I mean, that was kind of obvious there, being the last team there. Wolves at home. I don't think that's a terrible draw. I think that's favourable. I mean, there's a couple of teams in here that obviously I wouldn't want to face, but other than that, you know what I mean. You got to give yourself an outside chance at this season. I mean, it really isn't the aim, but I mean that would really put us back being that best team in the South Coast, wouldn't it? But let's have a look at how we got on since that Manchester City game in that 2-0 defeat. Obviously, we had that draw against Chelsea. That was a fantastic result for ourselves. Do apologise. And then we had the 3-2 victory over West Ham, the 1-1 draw with Wolves, and somehow we did manage to pull off a fantastic win against Chelsea. I mean, obviously, like I said, we took the lead, and yeah, we were clinging on a bit at the end, but don't know how we managed to pull that off. This one was a tough one to take as well, ironically, because against Man United, we did really, really well. And then you had the Tottenham game, which, again, 0-0 against these teams. We've only won, what? And obviously, Chelsea game was in the Carabao Cup, but nevertheless, a draw and a win against Chelsea in the space of 3 games. So realistically, in the league, since you were last with us, we have only won one game, which was against West Ham, so maybe not so great. But in the Carabao Cup, we have on multiple victories. And where that leaves us is after 10 games of the season. So I've only come back now because it is Derby Day, and obviously it's the perfect game to come back to. And with it being Derby Day, but as you can see, after 14 points, still 6 points clear of relegation at the moment, but we are a point behind Southampton, and we've got to keep ourselves clear of Brighton as well because they came back up this season. But the aim this season is to get ourselves finally past Southampton and complete the mission of the series. But if I'm going to give us any benefit of the doubt in between episodes, I mean, we did have the likes of Man United and Chelsea and Tottenham to play. But also, we really haven't had much of luck with injuries. As you can see, Anthony Elanga's injured. Morgan Gibbs-White has only come back from fitness. And Cameron Atch has come back again. So especially Elanga and Morgan Gibbs-White, those two themselves are players that start week in, week out. And all of a sudden, we're having to start other players in those positions. It's not the end of the world when you do have the likes of Timothy Weah in there. But still, Anthony Elanga was doing well for us. So if there's any excuses going into why we've only won one game so far, I'd say this is pretty much it. So let's get into the reason why we're really here today, and that is the derby against Southampton. We are the away team today, but nevertheless, I'm going to go positive. We're going to go for it. You've got to go for it on Derby Day. And the team we're going for today is Horvath in goal, who, by the way, he's pulling off some absolutely fantastic saves for us so far. Definitely worth the investment. We have Hackett at left back, Colwill, Lascelles, and Castagna at right back. At the moment, we've got Grimes and Miranda in the middle, with Fujimoto in front of them. Johnson on the right. Duran at the moment is playing on the left, which is between him and Weah. And we put Maupay up front. I still don't have a set player who's playing up front for us yet, but at the moment, for today, we're going to use Maupay. Right, let's get in straight into the game. And we don't really tend to have much luck on games that are recorded, and we definitely don't have much luck for Derby Day games. So I'm not too sure what I'm expecting from today's game. I'm just going to drop that down just a little bit so we can watch it a little bit. At least I had the opening highlight and nothing came of it, but we've got a nice shot, nice start. I mean, realistically, look at that team. Look at that team. Walker Peters, Livramento. You know, they've got Nketiah and Simeone up front, Lingard, Diallo, Ward-Prowse, Amati. I mean, I know the aim of this season is to obviously finally overthrow Southampton and make sure Brighton is still behind us. This is going to be tough. That is a good team. First highlight for them today. Ooh. I mean, that would have been interesting. That'd have been kickable. What can you do about it? That's something you've just got to take, haven't you? I think the plan for this series, guys, is I think we will get to the end of this season. And if we do manage to finally overthrow Southampton, I think that will be till the end of the series here. In terms of what I can do in recordings, there's not much further I can take this series. Because yes, I could go on and maybe go for some titles, but realistically, the aim of the series was to be the best in the South Coast. And I do have other ideas that I'd like to maybe have time to record and to get out, especially before the release of the next FM. Because as soon as the new FM comes out, realistically, FM23 becomes a bit redundant to a degree. So I don't want to drag the series out too far. I think once we complete the mission, I think that is when I'd call it on the series. It's certainly not a save I'm going to delete. And who knows, maybe in the Neil Maupay started, and I'm rewarded for it. Fantastic. We capitalised on the mistake of theirs. They got sloppy, and he got in, and he put it straight in there. 1-0 straight away. And it is a Brighton striker, or a once Brighton striker, I'm pretty sure he was. That's done it for us ourselves. And Maupay is already injured. That's fantastic. But as I was saying, guys, the plan would be at the end of the season is probably, if I manage to complete it, that would be the call in the series. But I'm actually going to keep the save around because personally, I'm really enjoying building the team up, looking from where we had it to where we had now. And the players, and look at the young talent with the likes of Brennan Johnson, Alanga. Obviously, you've got Colwell, Holgate at the back. You know, you could improve that midfield a little bit. This is an interesting save. And if some of the things are true and they're wanting to implement, obviously being able to transfer saves from one saves from one FM to another, like FM3 to FM24. Realistically, this could be something I might bring back. But if nothing else for myself, this could be the one I take over to FM24. And if people want it, I could bring it back for an FM24 series. But it won't be at the top of the list unless obviously it's something that people come to me and ask for. I mean, it hasn't been an exciting game so far. I mean, other than the goal. I mean, which I'll take if we can keep them out. If we can keep this, will be a fantastic result. This, but I'm not getting ahead of myself. They are on the attack here. Nketiah seems like he's going to be a big problem for us. We're letting him in too much space there. I definitely feel like defensively we've massively improved with the additions of like Colwell and Holgate. Lascelles in there as a leader, obviously with Hackett at left back as well, and the goalkeeper. Pretty much the entire defence has pretty much changed from season to season. But I feel like each time it's changed, it's progressively got a little bit better. But I feel like it's needed to. We are getting a bit sloppy in possession now here. This is not a very great game. It's a bit of a sloppy game. That was too easy. They got in way too easy there. We got away with that one there, but never come away with the ball. And here we are with another highlight for ourselves. Can Maupay do it? No. It was rather disappointing that time. He said he's injured, but I'm pretty sure he just said he stubbed his toe, so I'm not taking him off for a stubbed toe. I mean, I might do in a minute when players start getting tired and we need to make some adjustments. Maybe bring Camacho back on, but then Camacho's not in any fit shape either, so we are on around the 70th minute, and I might look at doing some changes now. Cam Archer can come on. He's having a good game. So what I might do is... And then I'm going to bring Morgan Gibbs-White in as well. And I'll just come back from fitness and the sharpness won't be great. But let's just get him straight back in. Hopefully, I won't injure them by the end of the game. I mean, I know it's a bit early to be looking at, but looking at the league table, I mean, after 11 games, 3 points off second if you want to be unrealistic there. I mean, we are, but, okay, maybe we're not anymore. Oh, come on. I thought I should have just kept my mouth shut. That was down this left-hand side. They've got in way too much, and that was just sloppy. I mean, they were sloppy down there as well, but from ourselves, that was just sloppy. Now, that puts them back ahead of us. Oh, come on. We've got a couple of more minutes yet, but I do think we're now looking at having to maybe save ourselves at the moment. Problem is Christina is that right back, and I don't really have many more in there. Bring on Timothy Weir. And I'll bring Miranda in there. I can't make any more substitutes, but I'll bring those on. And I'm not too sure. This might have to be a settle for a draw. Oh, you've got to be joking me. I mean, what are these lads trying to do to me? We were doing so well up until the last 15 minutes. Come on. This is what I mean. This kind of saves. Oh, come on. These kind of saves is what I'm on about. He pulls these off every single game and keeps us in the games. But my God, we're having a sloppy end to the game. You've absolutely... I know we're exhausted, but come on. I think after all that, I'll take the point. Well, that looks like to be the case, guys. We have drawn with Southampton on Derby Day. A little bit more exciting, and at least we didn't lose this one. I don't think I've actually beaten Southampton yet, which is rather annoying, which means realistically, providing this season goes well, I've only got one more game left to actually beat them directly. But at the moment, we haven't beaten Southampton. And quite frankly, we were lucky in the end to get that draw. But where that does leave us, guys, is we are 10th in the league, our 15 points. Now, realistically, we are creeping up on the games to points ratio, so I could do with picking up with a few more victories. But in the grand scheme of things, looking at the likes of, City, Tottenham, Arsenal, if you want to be unrealistic, and even Newcastle, we are actually not doing terrible. And at the moment, we're 7 points clear of relegation, and crucially, Brighton being that team. I'd like to think scraping relegation is not the aim this season, but I'm also not unrealistic to think that we couldn't be in that battle still. By no means are we that much better than last season. But what I will do, guys, coming back for the next episode, it seems fitting that we'll come back on transfer deadline day. Probably won't really have any transfers to do, but on transfer deadline day, we do have that other derby away again against Brighton. That seems like the ideal time to come up. To summarise, if we've made any changes in January, sold any players, if we've brought anybody in, I highly doubt it, but we can summarise the squad, and then we can also play Brighton, and it gets us a good chunk into the season, and see what sort of team we're going to be at, whether we're going to be in a relegation battle, mid-table, and crucially, whether we are top of the South Coast list, which hopefully by the time we play Brighton, we will be, and just beating Brighton will just make it that little bit more sweeter. But guys, have you enjoyed this short and sweet episode in the derby? I do apologise you didn't manage to win yet another derby. Maybe one day we'll win a derby. But guys, if you have enjoyed this very short and sweet episode, subscribe to the channel. It means the world. It helps me out a lot. Like the episode, sorry. And if you've got any comments, feel free to leave them down below. But guys, I appreciate any support. And I'll see everybody away at Brighton.